CIB. That's the President and Chairman of Council of the CIBN, a distinguished professional in his own right. We have other esteemed office holders of the CIBN here. We have the first Vice President of the CIBN, Mr. Dele Alabi, FCIB. You're very welcome, sir. We have the second Vice President, an Amazon per excellence, Mrs. Mojisola Bakari Asieru, FCIB. We also have people who have left their mark and legacy on the walls, the Hall of Fame of the CIBN. First, we have a past president of the CIBN, Dr. Messiah Olowuf, FCIB. You're very welcome, sir. Great to see you. We also have Mr. Femi Ekundaya, FCIB, here in the room. A round of applause for him. Good evening, sir. Great to have you with us. We have the past registrar of the FCIB, Dr. Sheye Awojobi, FCIB. You're very welcome, sir. Very good to see you. And of course, throughout the course of the evening, we'll be recognizing our panelists, our distinguished speakers, and others. But we want to welcome all the past and present EXCO of both the CIBN as well as the APWB, eminent industry leaders and executives from across the banking industry. So now to give her welcome remarks is the APWB chairperson. It's none other than the relentless, and I know why I'm saying that. She's really driving us to execute tonight. The relentless Mrs. Funke Ladimeji, FCA HCIB, for her welcome remarks. Please keep clapping as she comes up on stage. You're looking splendid, ma'am. We look forward to hearing what you have to say. Please keep clapping. A round of applause for her as she walks on stage.
Thank you, Rolake. Thank you very much. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm actually quite excited this evening to welcome you all. I hope you can hear me clearly. Is the voice loud enough? Can you hear me? Great. So I'm very excited this evening to see you all and to welcome you to this occasion. And it is indeed an occasion. We have quite a packed evening. So permit me to, while we are all here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to acknowledge some dignitaries in the room at the moment, and there are a few more we're expecting. Our distinguished keynote speaker, Mr. Segun Alebioshu, who is the MD CEO of First Bank of Nigeria, but we'll come to that actually. A number of bank executives, executives of regulators, executives of the consulting firms, executives of other financial institutions here. We have a number of EDs and non-executive directors. And of course, our panel of discussants. But let me come back home to the CIBN and the APWB as well. So first is the President and Chairman of Council of CIBN, Professor Pius Deji Olanrewaju, PhD, FCIB. The office holders of CIBN, first is the first Vice President, Mr. Dele Alabi, FCIB. The second Vice President, Mrs. Moji Bakari Asieru, HCIB, ACIB, and FCIB, I believe. She's heavily credentialized, as you can tell. And other council, and the National Treasurer, actually, Mr. Peter Ashade, and then all the council members here present, the Registrar CEO of CIBN and his management team also here, the EXCO of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, The past presidents of CIBN, the past chairpersons of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, the various members of the Association of Professional Women Bankers here present, both physically and virtually, from across the geopolitical zones. We have a number of representatives of our MDs, but we'll say a bit more on that in a moment, in the course of the evening. But let me say, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all of you to this annual APWB event, the Association of Professional Women Bankers. And it has become what I call an excellent fixture in our calendar. And I call it an excellent fixture for a number of reasons. But before I go into that, let me pause for a moment for the sake of guests who are experiencing an APWB event for the first time. Let me give you very, very brief highlights about the Association of Professional Women Bankers. The APWB is the female wing of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. And I think, as many of you know, the institute is the single umbrella body for the banking community in Nigeria, as well as Nigerian banks abroad. The APWB is the female wing of that body. And at the Association of Women Bankers, while we have a myriad of objectives, our top 3 objectives are: 1, building capacity and empowering women. And the reason why we do that is for female inclusion and female leadership. The second is the role of women in building corporate Nigeria and nation building. And the third is recognizing and celebrating female achievements. There's a lot more to be said about the Association of Professional Women Bankers. And we have a short time slot later on this evening for that purpose. And so we'll come back to say a bit more and give a broader insight and perspective on the Association of Professional Women Bankers. But as I was saying earlier, this event today has become an excellent fixture in our APWB calendar. And I say excellent fixture for a number of reasons. 1, it has become a great opportunity to review our national, our economic, our political, our socio-cultural, and other various experiences in the year to date. And to come up for us at the association, we then come up with a short list of what we regard as our nation's priority challenges. And at this event, we tackle this at our Marquee event. And as a result, this year, our exercises landed us on 2 broad topics. Broad but interrelated topics. 1, I would say it goes without saying that for Nigeria and her peoples, majority of her peoples, we have all been going through very tough times in our nation. In addition, everything appears to be in a state of flux. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And let me give you examples. The global economy, the geopolitical environment, our nation's economy, indeed our nation's economy, as you all know, is going through a change at the moment. The global and local social order everywhere, the social order everywhere is going through a challenge. The various wars that we're all experiencing right now in other parts of the world, thankfully. The challenges we have to hegemony and the unipolar world that we've all been used to for so many decades. The new and emerging alliances that we now see in the global landscape. The regulatory changes that are going on, and these are global, not just in Nigeria. Even climate change, even gender definition is going through a process of change, if you know what I mean. The family construct, technology and its sphere of rapid change and advancement, and many, many more. I don't know about you, but I see so much of this change that is impacting and will continue to impact our world. And I say it requires that we pause to consider how to engage for the immediate future, for 2025, and for beyond. I was at a recent dinner of bank directors, and one of us mentioned that he feels it is near impossible to plan. And rather, he is having to take one day at a time, which is one approach to dealing with the world and a country where everything seems to be changing. And maybe, in fact, it's just resetting. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have a keynote speaker who will provide us with his own perspective on positioning for 2025 and beyond in a world of multiple global and local moving parts. In addition, our panel discussion today aims to narrow and dig deeper into our Nigerian economy and consider our challenges and progress to date, and particularly why and how to execute on our defined solutions. I think you will all agree that with me, that as Nigerians, we are not short on ideas. We have loads of ideas. We have policies, we have recommendations, we have exposure drafts, we have resolutions, and much, much more. We are pretty smart people, and we're always brimming with ideas. It doesn't matter who agrees. We have our ideas, and we're very, very comfortable to share them. And so, today, I believe our challenge as a nation is not in terms of ideas, it's in terms of execution. Execution of whatever it is we decide to do. Execution of policies. Execution of our decisions as a nation. Especially when I compare us to the likes of China. And you know what it means to execute when you look at China. You go there today, you go back in a month's time, and you'll be surprised at the change that's happened. And so our panel today will tackle how we can surmount the execution challenge in Nigeria. One reason why I refer to this annual fixture as excellent is because it engages thought leaders, experts, professionals, and others who know how we solution for the knotty challenges of our nation. The second reason I call this excellent is this. As women, we all know that for the majority, we have to be a lot more vocal about our achievements, about our progress. But for many women, tooting our own horn is not second nature. It's just not natural to us, right? Which is very different, a difference between ourselves and what I call the traditional other gender, traditional here. So as a result, at APWB, we have, as one of our priority objectives, taking deliberate steps to recognize and celebrate female achievements. And today is no exception. Indeed, today, this event is focused on celebrating the highest echelons of executive management within banking in Nigeria. Women who have challenged the status quo, women who have challenged systems, and even challenged self, and have broken through to leadership at the topmost levels in our industry. But please note, each one of them has a very unique story on their journey. As a result, there's no silver bullet. However, the fact still remains that they surmounted all and have succeeded where very few have been able to. And so while the association has always acknowledged and posted and commented on social media on the remarkable achievements of female MDs of banks, today we are going beyond that to mark them in a rather formal and grand way. This is particularly because your community, and I say this to the female MDs, your community of female bankers in the banks and in all the financial institutions actually, They feel very proud of your achievements. They bask sometimes in your reflected glory, and they look up to you. They want to formally mark your achievements as leaders in their sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure you will agree with me that it is an excellent venture that the community of female bankers and others formally doff their hats as a mark of well done to the female MDs of the deposit money banks in Nigeria. Thank you. Well-deserved round of applause. And the very third reason, this is my last. There are many others, but my third and last, why I say it is excellent. This forum is excellent. So as human beings, because as human beings, as professionals, as a community, the opportunities to connect with each other is enriching in so many ways. And to do so at the tail end of a tough economic year, recognizing that we are all alive and well to do so, in fact, deserves a celebration in itself. And so the third reason is that despite the challenges of the year, despite the twists and turns, we remain thankful. Thankful, and so we come together to celebrate each other, to celebrate our community, to celebrate our sector, to celebrate our nation, and to celebrate ourselves. So leaders of the banking and financial services community, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we engage today, we have to acknowledge that the journey so far, we have to acknowledge the journey so far as we plan for the journey ahead, and we do so in an atmosphere of thankfulness and celebration. I did say there's a bit more to be said about the Association of Women Bankers, the crux of the association, but more on that later. For now, let me wrap up. I look at Rolake as I say that. For now, let me wrap up. But before I do, I want to express my heartfelt appreciation to a number of the female MDs that I have engaged with regarding this event and who have been so honorable, generous to express their interest in being here to celebrate with us. Please, let's offer them a round of applause. Your presence here is an acknowledgement of the fact that you are always aware of the importance of leveraging you as the leaders in our sector. I also want to thank, in advance, our distinguished keynote speaker, and he created time, Mr. Segun Alebioshu, created the time to engage with us for weeks, actually, before this event, on this and other female banker topics. His passion for the association, I found it heartwarming. To our panelists, your contributions to this discourse would enrich our perspectives in no small way, and so I thank you for being here today. And I also must express my appreciation to President and Chairman of Council and the Legacy team, who are always here to support us. Always. Support me and support the Association of Professional Women Bankers. My most positive, should I say, excited appreciation as well to the Registrar of CIBN and his team, who are always there. I always piggyback off them to enhance our value as an association and our impact. I also thank the past presidents of CIBN and the past chairpersons of the Association of Professional Women Bankers. Both of these bodies are a source of great counsel for me. I lean on them in so many ways, and they continue to give. I say thank you to them. I also thank the EXCO of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, they are never short on ideas and on solutions on how to move the association forward. I thank you. And my deep appreciation as well to our members of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, who continue to engage and get their hands into the detail despite having full-time jobs. I call them they having day jobs. Yes, the Association of Women Bankers is supported by very, very small, 1 or 2 interns as EAs or PAs. 99% of what you see in the association, whether it's in terms of school initiatives, whether it's in terms of the multi-level mentoring, whether it's in terms of the various publications that we have, our various thought leadership initiatives, and more. All of this are planned and executed by professionals who are currently working in the banking and financial services sector. And the reason why is because they have a passion to impact lives. I express my deep appreciation to our members, all members of the APWB subcommittees who have become the engine of change and impact in the association. And now finally, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me finally wrap up by once again welcoming all of you to this annual Marquee event, specially curated for you. And please sit back. Let's share a delightful evening together. Welcome and thank you all. Thank you. Push.
Thank you. I think those welcome remarks deserve another round of applause. Mrs. Faye Lajimeji is someone I've known since my FBN Quest days, and she was talking about women being shy about tooting their own horn. She was one of the ones who encouraged me to toot my own horn, and I think she definitely deserves some recognition, acknowledgement of the role you have played in nurturing and mentoring women in Nigeria's banking sector. Another round of applause to you. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on swiftly, but we have some more recognitions on the cards. Of course, we recognized earlier, but we'd like to mention again the presence of the Registrar CEO, CIBN, Mr. Akimorakinyo, HCIB. A round of applause for him. We'd also like to recognize the presence of Mr. Ebenezer Kolawole, Executive Director, Unity Bank. A round of applause. Please keep the applause going. Mrs. Rita Adeyonju, Director, CIBN. Mr. Tolu Adeyemi, FCIB Assistant Director, CIBN. We also have here today representing the MD of First Bank, Nigeria Limited, Executive Director, Mr. Oluseyi Oyefeso of Retail Banking South Division. We also have 2 of our female Amazons who are already here. I'm sure some of them are coming in gradually as the night progresses. Mrs. Kafilat Araoye, FCIB, MDCO, Lotus Bank. You're very welcome, ma'am. It's good to see you, and we look forward to celebrating you further along in the evening. Now, without further ado, we have the privilege of hearing from the President and Chairman of Council, CIBN, none other than the one and only leader per excellence, Professor Pius Deji Olanrewaju, PhD, FCIB. His vision and leadership have been crucial to shaping not just the CIBN as the industry body for banking, but also the Nigerian banking sector and the economy. We acknowledge your contribution to the industry, sir. You're very welcome. Please keep clapping for him. Thank you very much, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you, the MC, for the job well done. Let me quickly recognize the presence of the legacy team that are here and who has been driving, who has been piloting the institute for the past 7 months. Mr. Dele Alabi, good to have you, my first vice president, and our colleague professional. We thank you for being here this evening. Our amazing Amazon, who is representing the body of women in our team, Mrs. Mojisola Bakari Asiru, I want to recognize Sumo. Thank you for being here. And my national treasurer, I know he might be here or will soon join us, Dr. Peter Ashade, good to have you here. When the chairperson was alluding to that this association came into being 41 years ago, I learned from history that there were two presidents who supported them, that idea. It was very novel and very strange at that time. But two people who can see beyond the immediate supported the idea of having the women wing. And that is the person of one of our past presidents, Mr. Femi Ekundayo. We want to thank you for coming and still supporting even the women up to today. I also want to recognize the past president, Dr. Uche Olowu, who is also here to support us. Thank you for the foundation you laid in the past that we are building on. Not to also forget to recognize my global registrar, Mr. Kimura Kinyo. Good to have you in our midst this evening. And the emeritus registrar, Mr. Sheye, good to have you. Dr. Sheye, good to have you in our midst. And also let me recognize our MDs. I've seen two of them who had contributed immensely to what we are doing in the CIBN today. Mrs. Araoye Kafilat, I recognize Suma, the MD of Lotus, and also Dr. Buki Smith. Thank you for honoring this invitation. Permit me to just stand on the already established protocol to save time. Distinguished guests, esteemed members of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, APWB, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great delight and honor that I join you today at the 2024 Marquee event. I extend my warmest congratulations to the APWB, ably led by our iconic Mrs. Funkela Dimeji, HCIB, for convening this pivotal gathering under the theme Positioning for Economic Shift and Global Trend 2025 and beyond. There is no doubt that this topic is very apt, in spite because of what we are also looking to receive in the coming year. The theme of this event is both timely and thought-provoking, and it invites us to reflect our preparedness for a future shaped by rapid technological advances, global economic transformations, and the pressing need for sustainable solutions. These dynamics require not only adaptability, but also visionary leadership. As Mahatma Gandhi wisely stated, the future depends on what we do today. The actions we take now to position ourselves as individuals, as organizations, as banks, we go a long way to determine the direction of what is likely to happen to us in future. As we steer this transformative era, the contributions of women in leadership and professional capacity have become increasingly indispensable. There is no doubt that today, most of the banks that matters in this country is being headed by women. And in an advocacy seminar we organized some days ago, our decision is that it's like we need to be asking for diversity to include men, because women are taking over all the strategic positions. For instance, a survey by Premier Consulting found that over 75% of financial institutions consider diversity and inclusion among their highest priorities. Additionally, research by Schema Business School revealed that companies with gender-diverse board have better decision-making and oversight. And that is true. That had already been demonstrated in our banking system, even in Nigeria. As such, APWB has consistently demonstrated leadership in championing gender equality, professional excellence, and the empowerment of women in the banking sector. Your dedication aligns seamlessly with our legacy priorities, our legacy agenda rather. Particularly, the letter G in our legacy, the character in that word, emphasizes gender, generational, and geographical diversity, which had already been adequately taken care of in the formation of some of our committees at the Institute. So I want to take this unique opportunity to thank you all for your support of the initiative under the legacy agenda. Looking ahead to 2025 and beyond, I urge all of us, to embrace a forward-thinking mindset that prioritizes digital transformation, which is already being done in our institutes, sustainability, and inclusivity, which is also very key. The role of women bankers as trailblazers and collaborators will be crucial in positioning the industry to thrive amidst of global uncertainties and opportunities. Once again, I commend APWB for creating this platform to share insights, foster collaborations, and aspire transformative action. Let us seize this opportunity to chart a bold course for the future. One of the leverages our collective strengths to create a more equitable, innovative, and prosperous financial ecosystem. As I conclude, may I leave you with the wise saying of my Jamison, the great African-American chemist, who said, and I quote, "Success is not just about what you accomplish in your life, it is about what you inspire others to do." So I want to commend the leadership of the APWB for the way they have been galvanizing, mobilizing the children, the women to take over. So together, we can build a future where no one is left behind. And every woman who decides to pursue the path of professional banking is empowered to achieve that full potential. I wish you fruitful deliberations, continuous success, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year in advance. Thank you for your rapt attention, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Professor Pius Deji Olarewaju, the President and Chairman of Council of CIBN. Another round of applause for him. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things sometimes we often forget that this journey of seeing rising female leaders who have attained the highest echelons of society in the banking, highest echelons actually in the banking sector, was actually also contributed to by a few he for she's. And we know who some of these he for she's are, and Professor Pius is one of them. You heard how he talked about the contribution of not just the APW, but the CIBN to the advent of women in the industry. And we have to actually applaud them for the role that they have played in supporting our female Amazons in the banking sector. And of course, if you remember, part of the journey of seeing women CEOs, women representation on boards, women representation in executive management was also catalyzed by people like the former central bank governor of Nigeria, Lamido Sanusi Lamido, who was one of the people who really championed the representation element and really brought diversity, equity, and inclusion to the fore in the banking sector. So again, we celebrate them. Please give them a round of applause. Our distinguished he for she's. We have a few more people to recognize, and we have some more of the celebrated women we will be honoring this evening. First, I'd like to recognize the presence of Mrs. Bukola Smith, MD CEO, FSDH Merchant Bank Limited. You're welcome, ma'am. Please do stand for recognition. Thank you very much, ma'am. Great to see you. We'd also like to recognize the presence of Mrs. Halima Buba, FCIB, MD CEO, SunTrust Bank. She's ably represented by Mrs. Fola Shade Alonge, FCIB, the regional executive for Lagos and Southwest. Please stand up so we can recognize you on behalf of your principal. Thank you very much. You're welcome. And we also have Mrs. Yemisi Edu, FCIB, MD CEO, FCMB. Great to see you, ma'am. A real pleasure to have you all in our midst. So we're going to move on to one of the key highlights of this evening's program, the keynote address, being delivered by Mr. Olusegun Alebioshu, the GMD CEO of First Bank of Nigeria Limited. He will be represented by Mr. Oluseyi Oyefeso, Executive Director, First Bank. But before I invite Mr. Oyefeso to take the podium and deliver the keynote, I'd like to just say a few things about our keynote speaker. Mr. Alebioshi, as you know, is a celebrated banking professional with over 28 years of experience across the industry, spanning everything from corporate banking to credit risk management, development finance. He's a graduate of the Harvard Business School and has embodied excellence and strategic thinking in everything he does. Before he became CEO earlier this year, he served as the executive director and chief risk officer of First Bank, where he led transformational initiatives that strengthened the institution's resilience in a dynamic, and I dare say, very dynamic financial and economic environment. His career has, of course, spanned pivotal roles at other financial institutions such as UBA, Coronation Merchant Bank, and the Africa Development Bank. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to his representative here this evening, Mr. Oluseyi Oyefeso, Executive Director, First Bank, to deliver the keynote on behalf of the GMD CEO of First Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olusegun Alebiosu. You're very welcome, sir.
The chairperson, Association of Professional Women Bankers, Mrs. Funke Feisheton Ladimeji. Other members of the Executive Council of APW, eminent industry leaders from across different sectors of the Nigerian economy, women executives and professionals from banking and financial services industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I will be reading the text of the keynote address by Mr. Alebiosu, who unfortunately was unable to be here today due to some official engagement. He sends you very warm greetings and his best wishes for the association and indeed for the event. The text: I feel particularly honored to be in your midst today and deliver this keynote speech in celebration of the 2024 Marquee dinner of the prestigious Association of Professional Women Bankers, the female wing of our esteemed Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Given that this association has been in existence since 1983, one can argue that it is a good demonstration of the innate ability in you all as women to grow and nurture ideas and objectives that are dear to your hearts. Also, when one considers the general fate of the women folks, especially in the banking industry, when this association began in 1983, and the remarkable progress and feats now being recorded by women in this noble banking profession, one cannot deny that organizations such as APWB have contributed in no small measure to the rising profile of Nigerian women, not just in banking, but across every facet of our national lives. Although you have asked me to speak on the title, Positioning for Economic Shifts and Global Trends, 2025 and beyond. But in all honesty, I believe your association is already leading some shifts in the Nigerian banking industry that, as at last count, at least 11 of your members currently hold top spots across financial institutions. Indeed, quite a number of them are seated here, and I dare say we celebrate you all. Within our own institution, that is First Bank, at least 2 of your members have risen to the office of group executives, while more women occupy critical roles, such as the Chief Technology Officer, Chief Customer Experience Officer, and indeed, with the traction your members are making across the industry, ideas say that women bankers are on their way to occupying majority of the leadership positions in the banking industry. Now come to the topic at hand, positioning for economic shifts and global trends, 2025 and beyond. There can be no gainsaying that both the global and local economies have experienced significant shifts in the last 3 to 4 years. Coming out of COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, general expectations has been for a steady return to normalcy across the world as governments begin to roll back on the pandemic-induced quantitative easing efforts. These actions were expected to result in significant inflation rates reductions and interest rate normalizations, especially across major global economies, such as the United States of America, the United Kingdom, China, and the rest of them. However, inflation rates has largely softened in advanced economies. For example, going from 6.5% in 2022 to 2.6% as at October 2024 in the US, 10.5% in 2022 to 2.3% as at October 2024 in the United Kingdom. Interest rates have only begun the journey to normalization as the US Federal Reserve and the Bank of England only began rate cuts some few months back in 2024. To this end, the anticipated redirection of investment to emerging frontiers like Nigeria has been slower than earlier imagined. In the same vein, the onset of the Russia-Ukraine war in February 2022 not only resulted in an immediate humanitarian crisis in Ukraine and its neighboring countries, but also resulted in sharp rises in the general price of commodities and energy across the world, especially in Europe. The lingering war and the growing membership of the Western Military Alliance, that is NATO, in view of its recent admission of Finland and Sweden as new members in the last 1 year, has potentials for further shifts in the global peace equation. Similarly, the Israel-Hamas crisis, which began in October 2023, has contributed to further deterioration of the fragile peace which pre-existed in the Middle East. And on the back of this crisis, significant disruptions to the global supply chain occurred as the Houthis rebel targeted commercial shipping vessels plying the Red Sea, and thus driving up the cost of insurance and general prices of goods. The escalation of the crisis to involve Yemen, Lebanon, and Iran led to restrictions of flight operations and humanitarian aids and assistance within the region. The recent electoral victory of Donald Trump and his imminent return as the 47th President of the United States of America also portends implications for global economic well-being. If, as widely reported and expected, he continues his protectionist agenda and clamps down on global trade, especially as it relates to China, this might further depress projections for global economic growth and recovery. In the light of the above, the International Monetary Fund at October World Economic Forum predicted that global growth will remain stable but underwhelmingly going into 2025. According to IMF, in 2025, the global economy will grow at the same rate of 3.2%, at which it is expected to grow in 2024. On the local scene, at least two fundamental economic shifts have taken place in the Nigerian economy since the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on stream. First, with a single pronouncement, the president ended 5 decades-old petroleum subsidy regime, which instantly took petroleum pump price from around 184 naira per liter to around 610 per liter in June 2023. Since then, the price of petrol has steadily risen in line with volatilities in the international prices of crude oil and the foreign exchange rates to between 1,030 per liter and 1,200 per liter, depending on which part of the country you are in. Likewise, as part of its broader reform agenda, the federal government announced the unification of the foreign exchange rate in June 2023, thereby ending the era of multiple exchange rate windows in Nigeria foreign exchange markets. This move has set in motion a steady wave of currency devaluation from an official exchange rate of around 465 to $1 in May 2023 to the current exchange rate of sub 1,700 naira to $1. The combined effect of these two policy actions has precipitated a sharp rise in the general prices of goods and services, leading to an increase in inflation rate from 22.41 in May 2023 to 33.88 as at October 2024. This phenomenon has exerted considerable financial pressure on household incomes and overall cost of doing business for both small and large-sized organizations over the last 20 months. In response to the galloping inflation rates, the new administration at the Central Bank of Nigeria, headed by the governor, Dr. Olayemi Cardoso, and through the instrumentality of its Monetary Policy Committee, has raised the benchmark interest rate, that is the monetary policy rate, by 875 basis points year to date to 27.5 from 18.75. Within the same period, the MPC has increased cash reserve ratio for deposit money banks from 32.25% at the start of the year to current 50%. Though through these moves, the central bank intended to tame inflationary pressures by reducing the overall money supply in the economy. The higher interest rates, while making borrowing unattractive to local economic agents, is aligned towards narrowing the negative yield environment and attracting foreign capital flows into the country to supply the domestic currency's exchange rate, to support the domestic currency exchange rate. Nevertheless, lingering structural, fiscal, and security issues have limited the range of impacts these monetary policy steps might have had in containing inflationary pressures. Specifically, persistent security challenges in food-producing geopolitical zones, the climate-related incidences such as flooding, and the inefficient transportation systems continue to weigh negatively on agricultural outputs with the resultant elevated prices of food items. Also, the over-reliance on crude oil as a major foreign exchange earner for the country continue to exert considerable pressure on the next naira exchange rate. Despite the clamor and efforts towards ramping up non-oil export volumes, a lot more can still be done in this area to diversify the nation's foreign exchange sources. Over and above these economic shifts, there are other soft yet very significant developments that will shape economic progress at both national and corporate levels in the short and to medium term. For example, corporate Nigeria is still reeling from the effect of the mass emigration of skilled professionals to more advanced economies like Canada, United Kingdom, and the United States over the last 2 to 3 years. Perhaps the banking industry is one of the most hit by the Japa phenomenon, as huge number of middle management personnel left in droves to seek the proverbial greener pastures. This has left a significant skill and experience gap across most financial institutions, with its symptoms showing up as either platform stability, technological glitches in some institutions, poor customer experience in others, as the remaining employees are overstretched to cover both manning and skill gaps. While financial institutions are responding to this challenge in several novel and creative ways, as leaders in the industry, I believe there's a huge opportunity for associations such as APWB to step up mentoring and influencing efforts to attract more youths into the banking profession and provide effective mentorship to younger female bankers who choose to stay and pursue meaningful career within the Nigerian banking industry. Another major shift that will influence the way banking is done is the rise of the remote work model. Until COVID-19, I am certain that majority of us present in this room today never imagined a time in which we would not have to go into the banking halls or our offices to do our jobs or serve our customers. But COVID-19 came and challenged some age-long philosophies about how work is done. Today, remote work models or some sort of flexi work arrangements are important elements of employee value propositions to attract and retain talents in the banking industries. While millennials and Gen Z is becoming the critical mass across most bank workforce, remote or flexi work arrangement is no longer an option. It is a necessity for any institution desirous of getting the best out of these younger professionals. While doing this might elevate our risk vulnerabilities as financial institutions, the situation calls for us as leaders to improve the overall resilience of our technological and cyber security architecture, as well as the information security majority of our employees. In addition, the rise of remote or flexi work model will necessitate enhanced digital collaboration, leveraging available teleconferencing platforms. As leaders, we must develop capabilities that will enable us to extract the best out of our employees during virtual sessions while still fostering a sense of healthy team dynamics. Rapid infusion of technology into the delivery and consumption of financial services has also resulted in significant shifts in the competitive landscape. Today, while banks have done a decent job in digitizing their service delivery models through several channels, such as mobile banking applications, online banking, USSD, and lots more, the real competitive challenge for the banking customer pool is with the fintechs. These digital natives are contending with traditional banks in delivering the ultimate customer experience to the banking public, especially within the payment ecosystem. The new source of competition is bound to influence the evolution of the Nigerian banking landscape going into 2025 and beyond. As practicing bankers, perhaps the most important shift we should watch out for going into 2025 and beyond relates to new capitalization requirements of the Central Bank of Nigeria. With 2025 being the penultimate year to the deadline of March 2026, given by the Apex Bank for compliance with the new capital requirements, one can reasonably expect increased tempo in capital markets activities as banks raise additional capital. Already we have witnessed a few rights issues and public offers from banks in 2024. This is expected to increase in 2025. Similarly, just like during the last recapitalization exercise in 2005, I expect some mergers and acquisitions activities in 2025. As you may well know, this might make the landscape a bit more unpredictable. Given all these expected shifts at the global, macro, and industry levels, the next logical question is, what can we do as individuals, corporate entities, to position accurately for them? Please permit me to share a few ideas around this. One, improve resilience. In the current volatile, uncertain, and complex, ambiguous era that we operate in, resilience has become a critical capability for survival, as both personal and organizational levels, and ability to successfully course correct and recalibrate our actions in line with developments in the external operating environment will become a major success factor going into 2025 and beyond. Two, stay relevant. At either the organization or personal level, it is very easy to become obsolete in the face of some of the ongoing and even anticipated shifts. To stay relevant, we must continually reinvent ourselves to acquire the necessary capabilities or competencies that are required to better serve our customers or employers. Investment in real-time understanding of changing customer tastes and expectations, and the capabilities to effectively respond to them in an agile manner will be a game changer going forward. At personal levels, possession of the right skill set and competencies required to successfully navigate today's challenges, as well as changing competitive landscape will be an extra advantage. 3, build networks. Just as many organizations have now realized the value of strategic partnership in surmounting the hydra-headed nature of our current competitive landscape. At personal level, you must endeavor to build effective network if you hope to be strategically positioned for the future. In this regard, I believe platforms such as APWB offer immense benefits to its members to forge the right professional network that can propel you to further growth within the Nigerian banking industry. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, please permit me to use this opportunity to congratulate APWB on its 41st anniversary and acknowledge the good work that has been done by both past and current leaders of the association, ably led by Mrs. Funke Feishiton Ladimeji. I wish the APWB more many years of impact to the nation and in humanity. Thank you for listening, and do enjoy the rest of the evening. Segun Alebiosu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oluseyi Oyefeso, Executive Director, First Bank. Another round of applause for him there, representing quite ably the GMD and CEO of First Bank, Mr. Olusegun Alebiosu. Quite an in-depth expose on everything from the Nigerian economy to global shifts, the macro shifts, the micro shifts. A very insightful keynote. And speaking of shifts, we're going to shift to another dimension of the program. I know we've been talking a lot since morning. The starters have already come out. So in order to give you a bit of time to digest, the APWB is not just good in banking and gathering women. They're also good with entertainment. So they have a little treat for us this evening. And to take us into that for a short presentation is a formidable group known as Konkere Beats. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this brief entertainment and a round of applause to Konkere Beats as they bring us some entertainment. Are we ready? Konkere Beats, we're ready. Please welcome them warmly, even with a mouthful. Thank you. and gentlemen, a round of applause for Konkere Beats, showcasing the diversity of a culture of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to a very important part of the program, a very short and brief high-level panel discussion that will examine a very, very important theme. We've been talking about shifts. This very brief panel discussion will be examining the topic of navigating policy recommendations for execution amidst the evolving economic and global environment. And to moderate this panel, I would like to call on the ever amiable and distinguished Dr. Bumi Bajamo, looking resplendent tonight, CEO of Echo Bank. Please give her a warm round of applause as she comes on. Can we please assist her up on stage? And to join her on the panel, we have Mrs. Yetunde Ogunremi, Executive Director, Treasurer, Rand Merchant Bank. A round of applause for her as she makes her way up the stage. We also have Dr. Ike Chioke, the Group Managing Director, AfriInvest. You're very welcome, sir. A round of applause for him as well. Then we have Dr. Chinyere Almona, the DG of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. A warm round of applause for her as she comes on stage. I spotted her, I think, earlier. Is she around? Okay. Maybe not. And last but by no means least, we have Dr. Ogo Kitty, CEO, Think Business Africa. I wondered whether we could move, maybe we could get some assistance to move the seats to the middle of the stage. If any of the ushers could please give us a hand, that would be really helpful. Or maybe the waiters, please. Expeditiously, please. Thank you very much. So we'll have a panel discussion on a very pertinent topic, positioning for these global economic shifts, and they'll be giving us insights from their vantage point of view based on a diversity of expertise and knowledge. I think the keynote speech really set the stage very nicely for this, what I think will be a very dynamic panel discussion, hopefully with some practical recommendations for how we make sense of 2024 with less than a month to go to the end of the year. I hope we're enjoying our meal. I hope we've enjoyed the entertainment. I hope we've enjoyed the various welcome remarks. Of course, the highlight of today is the celebration of 11 female Amazons in the banking industry who are making their mark, indelible marks, etched in the distinguished walls, corners, crevices, platforms, and stages of the Nigerian banking sector. So, as we get set for the panel discussion, I'd like you to cast your minds back to what really stood out for you in 2024 from a macroeconomic perspective. What were your pain points, both as an individual and as an organization? So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, another warm round of applause for our panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Good evening to all the female CEOs in the house, to our E4Cs supporting us tonight. Thank you. And thank you, my amiable panelists. Before I come to you, I wanted to mention that it's a pleasure and honor to be moderating this panel. The title of this session is Nigerian Economy in a Global Perspective, Navigating from Policy Recommendation into Concrete Execution. So today is not about postulations. Today is about looking at the Nigerian economy from a global context, from a global perspective, and profiling solution, measurable, succinct, and precise solution to what we see happening now and where we think the nation should be. So from my point of view as the moderator, I know Nigeria stands at a critical junction, having gone through series of reforms, as our keynote speaker has highlighted. And it seemed like those reforms have been rewarded, have been well received, and have been rewarded going by the recent Eurobond offering for the country. The country was able to raise 2.2 billion, the first in 2 years, and the deal book was actually 9 billion. That is an endorsement, that is an affirmation of confidence. But despite that, we have to remember where we are. As of this time, in 2022, the debt to GDP ratio was about 20%. As of now, it is postulated by the end of this year, outside of the 2.2 billion that was raised, the debt to GDP ratio will be about 50% and is projected to go to 69% by 2029. That is significant. What do we see? Like this keynote speaker said, yes, we're able to raise debt, but how do we service this obligation? The debt to GDP ratio of 50.5% that is postulated for this year has happened on the back of revaluation from our foreign currency obligation, as well as the monetized debt that had been raised locally. So with this background in mind, we know Nigeria is peculiar. We call ourselves the giant of Africa. But while we battle issues ranging from economic to political, the rest of Africa is not sitting still. Our compatriots, our brethren are moving forward. So the purpose of today is to look at where we are, look at what the government have done. From my perspective, we all can't sit idle. We need to get it right now so that Nigeria does not become history. We have myriad of issues, economic, social, insecurity, and we need to help the government. We need to support the government to move the nation to our desired state. So helping us today to look at these critical issues is my amiable sister. I'm assuming we've all had a look at the e-brochure. The profiles are all there. My sister is the executive director. Just call her Mrs. Fumilayo. She's the executive director and head of treasury at Rand Merchant Bank. So a round of applause for Mrs. Fumi. Next to her is our amiable senior, eminently known, a known voice on African continent, doing amazing things in his own private space and contributing to employment, contributing to the wealth of the nation, and rendering returns to his shareholders and himself. So please help me welcome Dr. Ike to the panel. A round of applause for Doctor. On the panel also, I have someone who might actually look forward to meeting severally and who has been a known voice on economic affairs in Nigeria. You couldn't talk about Business Day without remembering Dr. Okiti. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Okiti to this panel. We have someone still on the way, the MD of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I'm hoping she will be able to join us. Thank you, everyone. So let's get right into it. We have about 30 minutes to dimension, to profile, to profile all the profarables. And please pardon me, I thought I was a technology native. I shouldn't be carrying piece of paper, but I didn't want to take chances. So pardon me, I have my notes because I want to ensure that we go through all the questions. So starting this session, I will go to my sister. They said ladies first. So please pardon me. I want to go to my sister. And you know, our topic ranges from monetary policy to industrialization, all of the topics that you want to listen to. So I will create the indulgence of the audience. Please let us listen critically so that we can ask questions. Today is not about rhetorics. Everybody must profile solutions, and they are measurable solutions. Please, my secretary, please take notes. Thank you. So, my sister, I just wanted to ask you, from a monetary policy standpoint, I wanted to ask, we've all seen the reforms that have taken place. As of first quarter of this year, it seemed like our central bank could not even issue enough circulars. They became the central bank that is beginning to be specializing in circular issuances. But despite that, we're not feeling them. We're feeling them as bankers, as players in the market, but to the ordinary man on the street, maybe they are not seeing those policies. So I wanted to ask you, with the background of all the reforms that have taken place, what additional monetary policy measures or management strategies can the Central Bank of Nigeria implement to further stabilize the economy, reduce inflation? We see inflation accelerating, and now stimulate economic growth. So from your standpoint, are they on the right track, or there are things that you think that can be improved upon as a major player in this market? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bajabo, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. So the new CBN administration, just like everyone has said, has embarked on a lot of reforms, at least since their maiden MPC meeting in January this year. The economics books will teach you that to tackle inflation, you need to increase interest rates, and the CBN governor wasn't shy to do that. But he also recognizes that you need to balance that with economic growth, which is why the layman is going to feel the pinch, especially when these interest rates gets translated into lending activity, and then it's difficult for you to borrow or expensive for you to do so. So the CBN administration is on the right track, to my mind. I think some of the issues that they have are the operational inefficiencies that we've had in the country for several years. They have tried their best to fix those operational inefficiencies. The reversal of the cash reserve regime, which was very punitive to start with. Some of my banking colleagues would argue that it is still punitive, but the fact that there is structure in that CRR policy now allows the MPR rate to be a significant anchor that translates interest rate decisions. We've also seen significant changes in the FX regime. The unification of the FX markets was a welcome development, but again, the operational inefficiencies were prevalent. Only just recently, the CBN introduced an electronic matching system, and we saw an immediate impact as there was transparency in the exchange rate. We saw appreciation in the official and the parallel market, but you'll all agree with me that the parallel market has sort of reversed some of those gains. So there may be some principles that are driving that, but at least as far as the official market is concerned, and you need to execute transactions in the official market, you can do so at the prevailing and appreciated rates. One thing I like about this administration as well is the clarity on the policy direction. So price stability it is. But what I would say is, as the CBN continues to focus on reducing inflationary pressures, they need to ensure that the right interventions are made in the FX market so that the impacts of imported inflation doesn't become a secular reference on all the good things that they're doing on the other side. So I believe the CBN is in the right direction. We do need some political will to ensure that the monetary and the fiscal policy are aligned and are working for the same objective of economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fomi. Thank you. Yeah, I like where you ended it. It's not only about monetary policy. The fiscal policy must also complement the monetary policy. So coming to Dr. Okiti, I want to now move to the fiscal regime. So I want to talk in terms of budget deficit. We say a nation has a budget deficit when they spend more than they receive. So I want to ask you, what fiscal policy measures can the Nigerian government implement to reduce this budget deficit? This year, the projection is that for next budget, the budget will be about 13 trillion. That is the economy of some countries. So how do they reduce the budget, increase revenue generation, and promote economic growth?
Thank you so very much for that question. Nigeria's problem with budget deficit is about the budgeting process. That is where the problem is. And if you look at the budgeting process and how it affects the budget deficit, there are three main dimensions of that problem. The first one, and which I think is the most dangerous, is that successive governments, and it's not just this government, you have just cited the figure for this government, but for many, many years now, Nigerian governments actually believe that increases in government expenditure is what will deliver economic growth. But that is not what the data says. Increases in government expenditure by itself does not deliver economic growth. So, but that is the mindset. And until you cure the government of that mindset, they will continue to think that we only need to increase expenditure in order to get growth. And there is an example for that. I mean, the data, I can show you data between 2015 and now. The government, Nigeria's debt in terms of US dollars has grown by 44% in US dollar terms between 2015 and now. However, in Naira terms, of course, taking into consideration Naira's weakness, it has grown by 1,000% in 10 years. But in the same period, you have economic growth averaging 2%. So the problem is the mindset that increases in government expenditure will increase Nigeria's economic growth. The second problem is that our revenue expectations are always optimistic. Very, very optimistic. And it's by design. That is another problem. It's by design. So optimism is not necessarily bad. However, it is by design. So if you look at recent budgets in the last 10 years and even maybe 5 years before then, you will see that successive governments tend to say, okay, we are going to produce 1.7 million barrels of oil per year. But we know that in the previous year, we couldn't do that. So in 2024, they couldn't do 1.7. In 2023, they couldn't do 1.7. In 2022, they couldn't do 1.7. But you are projecting again to do another 1.7. So what happens is that in the middle of the year, on the basis of those projections and those expectations, they continue to spend. And when they are not able to attract those revenue, obviously, you have excessive budget deficit. So in 2024, for instance, there was an expectation of a budget deficit of 3.5% of GDP, but data today says we are already doing nearly 10% of GDP in deficit. What are the implications? That's where you have your inflation, and of course, that's where you have your weakness in the Naira. That's the second point. The third problem is that there is this ingrained notion in Nigeria that we can develop without sacrifices from those in government. So how does that lead to deficit? So what it means, let me just say it in plain language. So if you look at the last administration, they tell you the changes begin with you. If you look at this administration, they tell you endure the pain so that you can get the gain in the future. But they tell themselves, endure the gain so that we can continue to gain in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. So now we know, because, you know, oftentimes I look at the budget from even the time of presentation. You see that the exchange rate is at 68. Then they said they are projecting exchange rate of 75. Like you said, the oil production, the president actually wanted 2.5. To move from 1.2 to 2.5 million barrels per day is a long walk. It requires a lot of financing. But one of the things the government has done is to now try to reflate the revenue base. And that brings me to my next question, which Dr. Chioke will help me to answer. How can the government improve tax collection and reduce tax evasion to increase revenue generation without controversies? And I also wanted to know, where do you stand on the ongoing tax reform debate? What is your prognosis for subnationals and the real sector on the basis of what is being proposed right now? Thank you, sir.
The tough one. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I think if you look at the question of taxes, it's really been something that has undermined the Nigerian economy, because for years we've been known as a country that has collected quite a low base of tax across all sectors of the economy when compared to comparable sub-Saharan African countries or indeed comparable emerging market countries. So hence this debate on the current tax reform is an interesting and very important one. But if you really want to collect taxes, I think I start with two words: disclosure and transparency. Firstly, it's important that government should have a mechanism to disclose all the tax rates applicable at all the different tiers of income. It's often the case that even many people, often in the lower to middle income levels, don't actually know what the tax rate is. Yeah? So using platforms of government for information dissemination is critical in getting that message across. So if you disclose it, then making it easy to pay is actually a critical element. Today we have a very efficient banking system. You know, there are the bankers in the room. You know, I can pay anybody in this country from the comfort of my phone. We should be able to pay our taxes from the comfort of our phone so that it's easy for someone to pay. If I have to pay my taxes, I need to go to Oshodi to pay it and come back to Victoria Land. It's near impossible to do because many Nigerians actually live from hand to mouth, and at their level, it's just stepping out of work for that day is going to be too difficult. Now, in that context, you then have the current debate on the tax reform. And typical, all the issues is about sharing. Nobody has really focused on how do we actually increase the tax bracket and the tax income. But, you know, you can see that most of the debate has gone to this whole point about VAT share and VAT attribution. But when you actually look at it, it's designed to streamline the tax base overall and bring people at 80,000 naira, which is now near minimum wage and below, to zero tax base. And also bring small and medium-sized companies that do about 50 million naira of turnover to a very, very low tax base. But that sounds well and good. Obviously, when you're in Lagos, 80,000 naira sounds like a very low wage. But if you actually leave Lagos and go to the rest of the hinterland, you realize that many Nigerians are happy to get even 50,000 naira a month. So for many states across the country, when you actually make a zero tax base at 80,000 naira, it actually wipes out their payee for the most part. So that's something to consider. But I think the other issue around it is the social contract that we must have as citizens. I do believe that you can't actually eliminate taxes completely for everyone because people need to learn to contribute to the progress. And if someone has grown up knowing that I pay zero taxes, it even gets more difficult to charge them a 5 or 10% when they're above that base. So to that extent, I would be on the side of having a participatory system, a progressive system, but giving everyone something to pay. Because if I'm not paying taxes, then what locals I have to complain about bad governance? And you know most of our problems is all related to bad governance. As Okiti has explained, the people who are, levying the taxes are not willing to take any of the pain themselves. So I'd like to rest on that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have bankers in the room. A round of applause for Dr. Chioke. We have bankers in the room, so we are looking for that bank that will help the government glamorize tax payment. Nigerians can be law-abiding. If you make it seamless and you make it attractive for people on the street, the ordinary man on the street to pay their taxes, they will gradually pay. After all, they are paying now. It's just that it's going to the wrong channel. So I think it's something for the government, like you said, to revisit and look at. It's obligatory. So everybody should have that responsibility and commitment to nationhood by paying some part of what they do. It now depends on what the government does with it. Thank you very much. So, I wanted to move a little bit forward quickly. And please, going forward, please, let's limit the responses to maximum 2 minutes. I wanted to ask Dr. Yetunde, now, because there are so many doctors on this platform, please receive it. You are a doctor, So, my sister Yetunde, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to talk about the role of banks and expectation of banks. So we're likely bankers in the room. Do you think from a Nigerian context, banks are fairly or are unfairly blamed for economic crisis? If so, what factors are contributing to this perception? Are expectations of the banks excessive And how can banks demonstrate their commitment to supporting economic growth? Outside of what they've done before, outside of initiative under COVID and the likes, and counter this negative narrative. How can we become more visible if we weren't in nationhood? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bajamo. Interesting question to ask a practitioner. So I'll try my best to give my unbiased view of the judgment placed on the bank. I think banks in Nigeria, and I would argue that it's everywhere else in the world, are sometimes blamed when there are economic challenges. And it's mostly due to public perception and probably a lack of understanding on the role of banks and the challenges that banks also then have to face when the economy is in crisis. So banks have to deal with macroeconomic issues. They also have to deal with regulatory headwinds, and they have to do with limited policy support, which also makes the business of banking quite difficult when there's a crisis. So I would say it's a bit unfair to place all the blame on banks. But that said, banks could also continue to do a lot more in ensuring that they show commitment and dedication to the overall benefit of the economy. A lot of banks support small and medium-scale enterprises. I would say that that support should continue and should be extended towards the retail end of the divide as well. So we have discussed the increases in the monetary policy rate. So one could argue that the banks necessarily need to transmit the full extent of that increase to the vulnerable persons and vulnerable business in the society. I'd argue that no, that at some point you sort of have to moderate the transmission of that increase so that these businesses can continue to thrive, diversify the economy, and provide and maintain their workforce. Banks could also continue to ensure financial inclusion, which they have started to do, to increase the bankable public by encouraging them to continue to bank and then probably provide access to additional financing. Banks could also continue in their advocacy role with the government. We have a lot of brilliant minds in the banking industry. So sometimes where the government demonstrates the political will to make change, but they are lacking in how to execute, it will be important for banks to step up and help in the execution at that point in time. So in conclusion, I would say banks should continue to do more of what they do, but also ensuring that with transparency and good ethical practices, some of this blame would go away. Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause for Sister Fomi. So I want to move things along quickly, and I want to start, I want to look at economic diversification. So we said Nigeria is a mono-product economy. Oil accounts for about 10% of our GDP, but it accounts for over 80% of our revenue. So when the oil prices are up, in times when we didn't have a lot of importation issue, it meant Nigeria was doing well. And when prices are down, Nigeria will go down with it. So I wanted to ask, if I look across Africa, I mean, there are so many banks playing across the Pan-African game here. I look at across our West African neighbors. Everybody sort of have another sector where they are trying to drill oil, to become more prominent in the extractive space. They have other sectors that are driving. So if you look at Ghana, they have their gold, they have their cocoa. You go to Guinea, mining is big. You go to Senegal, they have their agri, and then they have mining. They now have oil. And you know, it goes, you go to Liberia, they have rubber, they have diamond, contributing well above 70% of their economy. But Nigeria has remained stuck at this level for a while. So now, coming to Dr. Ike, I wanted to ask you, how do we begin to have like a Guinean experience where we have over 20 billion being at the outlay for mining sector? What can Nigeria do to diversify the economy, boost sector export, and reduce this dependency that we are talking about? What are the opportunities for further growth for Nigeria so that we don't stagnate? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, there are two questions in one. One is how to diversify the economy, and then the second sort of associated question is about the mining sector.
Which opportunities can you see?
Yeah. But I think that for Nigeria to diversify its economy, the starting point should be agriculture. This is because today, agriculture contributes about 25% of Nigeria's GDP, accounts for about 35% of the employment of Nigerians, but only 5% of the budget goes into it. And you can see that most of the agriculture we do is still at the subsistence level. And hence, on the flip side, we are a country that imports so much, in billions of dollars, to feed its people. It's just shocking to think that a country as arable and as blessed as Nigeria needs to import any grain of any item of food. So if we focus on agriculture, mechanize it, and put science and technology and make it more climate compliant, then we can do an industrialization approach following from agriculture, because then food processing, food packaging, and food exports can come along. But at the same time, we'll kill two birds with one stone. We'll feed our people, we create employment, and we create fulfillment. And then the manufacturing can come along. Manufacturing is critical, but as you know, we are lacking in a lot of basic infrastructure like available electricity, good road transportation networks, and indeed most of the manufacturing we're doing is low value added manufacturing. So we then need to think, how do we get the innovation to move up the food chain in terms of manufacturing and do more higher value added manufacturing? That itself needs to come along, but I think that will be following the agricultural push. And the other part of it is there are some already present opportunities we have in the culture and entertainment space that we haven't really exploited sufficiently. Nollywood, Afrobeats, yeah, they are doing very well, but most of the revenue of their success is now being captured overseas. You can see the likes of Netflix. Yes, they are paying for movies to be made in Nigeria, but they are capturing most of the dollars overseas. Same thing with Spotify. Our Nigerian artists are streaming music on Spotify, but getting a fraction of that music. So how can we do more with technology to create employment? And today, let me wrap up. With technology, we talked about remote working. We can also do the reverse, where outsourcing work into Nigeria creates employment for Nigerian youth. Quickly into mining. I think there's a huge opportunity for mining, but we need to sanitize the policy environment, and we need to sanitize the security environment, because itself, you can see already the challenges with insecurity in the oil sector is actually much worse in the mining sector when we talk about the rare metals that we have across Nigeria, gold, lithium, and all of that. So that needs to be sorted out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have just about 5 minutes to go. So I want to touch on something that is very important that can affect everything that we've discussed tonight, which is the social vices that we see in Nigeria today. And I would like each and every one of these panelists to actually touch on that subject. So we have another thriving industry in Nigeria. And if we don't watch it, it might become bankable, though negative. That is the industry for kidnapping and ritual killing. They actually call it KRK. We might think it's something small, but there's nothing we can do as Nigeria or as an economy if this continues to happen. So putting numbers to it, kidnapping and ritual killing, based on some research that was done by the Nigerian Socio-Economic Research Institute, the World Health Organization, and some other body, it is estimated that the total cost of KRK, as they put it, is actually 9.3 trillion. That is about 20% of our projected GDP for 2025. So I wanted to ask you, from where you sit as economic commentator, policy makers, decision makers, founders of businesses, how did we get here? What makes this our thriving population? You know, one of the things that Nigeria has prided itself on is that we have a youthful population. But this menace is not just for the youth. It incorporates the adult as well. What makes a young man to wake up and see that it's only ritual killing that is the surest path to economic growth in Nigeria. How did we get here? And what do you think the government needs to do urgently so that this menace does not compromise every of the good intentions and then make Nigeria actually unlivable? So I'll start with Dr. Okiti. Come in this order, and then we'll wrap up from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bumi. This is not a very easy question to answer because obviously it has economic implications, but it's largely social. So, the way I think I would like to answer it is this. Over the years, and I'm talking maybe in the last 20, 15, 10, 5 years today, Nigeria has become what we call a survivor nation. A survivor nation, meaning that this is the one that will surprise you. Even the billionaires are trying to survive. Yes, it is that bad in the sense that we are all trying to survive. So the people doing ritual killing or kidnapping, they know that they are not going to get wealth, but they don't have the capacity to think long term in terms of what do I need to do to get wealth. So all they think about is, look, we are in a container that seems to be falling apart. How do I survive? Yes. I mean, you work in the bank, I do consulting, I do everything. That is the way I think I can survive. But me and you can think that way because we had education, because we probably have some kind of family background that supported us. But if you look at some of these youth, and for those of you that live in Lekki like I do, just look at the Lekki corridor. You see all the Prados, all the big cars driving around the corridors. But look carefully at the junctions. You see 14, 16, 18-year-old that seem to be totally different from who you are, and they have no future. But they see you driving that car every day. So you think if they have the opportunity, they won't kill? Because they actually assume and think, you may think they are wrong, but they actually think that the reason they are where they are is because of where you are. You are the problem in Nigeria today. You are not the problem, but they think you are the problem. What is the solution? The solution is long term. You must start at the very, very early age. Let every Nigerian get as much as possible. Let's get some literacy and some education. Because without that education, like I said, they have no capacity to think long term. And if you can't think long term, you can only think survivor. And when you're survivor, you do anything to survive. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me just quickly come in that direction. So Dr. Ike, what do you think? And does corruption have any role to play here?
I think my view on that is political rascality and indiscipline has led us to this point. Long before, even in 1999, most Nigerians will not think twice about driving from Lagos to Abuja in their own car. You understand? But over the years, you could see the successive changes in political environment and the terrain. The quality of leadership selection has continued to diminish. And as a consequence, what we've then found that once you've employed hoodlums and thugs to help you win an election, after the election, those people then recognize they can actually control things. And that is what has degenerated to this point where we are. And unless we can bring back some discipline and restraint in the political leadership, I don't see how we're going to solve this problem in the near term.
Thank you. Yetunde, please bring it up for us.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just say two things, and then just to contribute to the solution of things. So there's a lot that the private sector can also do. So when Dr. Okiti was talking about the boys at the junction, I experience that every evening. But you could imagine that if the private sector were to contribute to educating or rehabilitating these boys, then it's something that we can do for ourselves, because at the end of the day, we can't leave everything to the government. From a bank perspective, especially if you look at it in the construct of organized crime, the CBN is very particular about compliance rules and regulations. So if as banks, we continue to strengthen our KYC, AML, CFT regulations, we can begin to nip some of these things in the bud, because you would agree with me that some of this cash would actually pass through the banks. So if the bank is able to checkmate some of these movements, then it would help overall. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Kitty. Thank you, Dr. Ike, and thank you, Mrs. Ogunremi. It's an honor having you here today. I think on behalf of the House, I would like you all to please give this esteemed panelist a round of applause. Thank you, and please, in our own little corners, kindly let's ensure that we tackle this social menace by showing kindness, random act of kindness, and doing our part, mass mobilization as bankers. Let's invest in mass mobilization and halt this slide, because there will be no economic development if this thing continues. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Rolake.
Thank you, and a warm round of applause to our able moderator, Dr. Bumi Banjo of EcoBank. I'm sure we can do that better than that, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. For the panel to have held our attention on a Wednesday evening in the middle of the week, I think they deserve an even more rousing round of applause. Thank you very much. As they take their photo and exit the stage, I'd like to do a few recognitions as we advance in the program. First of all, I'd like to recognize the presence of Mrs. Tomi Shomefun, FCIB, MD CEO, Unity Bank PLC. You're very welcome, ma'am. She's actually been with us much earlier in the evening. I'd also like to recognize, I beg your pardon, the presence of Mrs. Emily Osuji, FCIB, Executive Director, NDIC. You're very welcome, madam. And Mrs. Yemisi Ibrahim, Chairman, Nigeria's in Diaspora Fund. You're very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's keep the applause going. Thank you. Since you've had the main course now, I'm sure we can rev up the energy a bit. I'd also like to recognize the presence of Mrs. Tyra Tijani, Non-Executive Director, Sterling Bank. You're very welcome, looking very dashing there. I would like to recognize the presence of Mrs. Kemi Adewale, Non-Executive Director, FBN Quest. You're welcome. Please do stand up for recognition wherever you are. I'd also like to recognize the presence of a very, very dear career mentor of mine, Mrs. Bimbola Wright, Non-Executive Director, EcoBank. You're very welcome, ma'am. And of course, last but by no means the least, the very incredibly progressive, beautiful, dashing Amazon, Mrs. Neka Onyalikwe, FCIB, MD CEO, Fidelity Bank. You're very welcome, ma'am. And of course, some of these ladies are part of the women we'll be celebrating later on tonight. But there's just still one more small item before the awards, and I promise you it's a very small item. The APWB has, of course, been on a journey. So one of the things the EXCO has prepared is a very short 5-minute video that touches on a bit of their story. You're just getting the snippet with a few testimonials from those women who've been impacted by that journey. So please turn your eyes to the screen now as we watch the video, and I'll be right back. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Funke Feishitonladimeji, and I'm the chairperson of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, the APWB. It is a pleasure to connect with you and share how our association is not just empowering women in banking and the financial services, but creating leaders who are shaping the future of our industry and our nation. At APWB, our mission is simple but impactful: to empower women, to build leadership, and to champion gender inclusion in the financial services industry. We are more than an association. We are a movement of women supporting women. We are driving excellence and transforming the landscape of leadership. We understand the unique challenges women face on their own journey to leadership in banking and financial services. Indeed, in my experience working in banking in North America, in Asia, and in EMEA, I have experienced firsthand what women across the world face in our industry. And this is why having a professional network, a professional community like ours, is imperative. The APWB is here to equip members with the tools, the resources, and the networks that are needed to rise above those challenges and thrive. Our programs are designed for every stage of a banking career, whether you're just starting out your career in banking and financial services, or whether you're already senior. Hello. My name is Funke Feishit-Onladimeji, and I'm the chairperson of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, the APWB. It is a pleasure to connect with you and share how our association is not just empowering women in banking and the financial services, but creating leaders who are shaping the future of our industry and our nation. At APWB, our mission is simple but impactful: to empower women, to build leadership, and to champion gender inclusion in the financial services industry. We are more than an association. We are a movement of women supporting women. We are driving excellence and transforming the landscape of leadership. We understand the unique challenges women face on their own journey to leadership in banking and financial services. Indeed, in my experience working in banking in North America, in Asia, and in EMEA, I have experienced firsthand what women across the world face in the industry. This is why having a professional network, a professional community like ours, is imperative. The APWB is here to equip members with the tools, the resources, and the networks that are needed to rise above those challenges and thrive. Our programs are designed for every stage of a banking career, whether you're just starting out your career in banking and financial services, or whether you're already a senior executive. We offer leadership training, we offer mentorship, and various developmental opportunities that are tailored to ensure growth and success. For example, in our APWB Leadership Series, which focuses on empowering the most senior women in the financial services space, mentoring them on the art rather than the science of leadership, coaching them on what it takes to get a seat at the table and to keep it. And for professionals at the middle management level, we have various programs that address the unique challenges of being in the middle, not quite at the top and not quite at the bottom. We also have a myriad of programs that also focus on the more junior levels. We don't just focus on skills, we foster a mindset of leadership. And by doing this, we ensure that women are not just present at the table, but they are driving the decisions that shape our industry. When women lead, organizations thrive, and industries and economies transform. APWB is dedicated to ensuring that women in banking are empowered to take on leadership roles that impact not only their financial institutions, but the financial future of our nation. As women in banking, women in financial services, we are critical to building corporate Nigeria. And at APWB, we have a series of publications that are authored by members which add to the discourse on important matters that are critical to the growth and development of our country. Our expertise, our insights, they are essential to driving growth and creating opportunities. We also celebrate the achievements of women breaking the glass ceiling and shattering barriers. Through awards and through our recognition programs, we amplify these successes to inspire others to aim higher. The banking sector now has a good number of female MDs who are currently leading in our industry. And we're so proud of their remarkable achievement. We know each one of you have had a unique journey to getting to the top, and the association celebrates your achievement. Your success is a testament to all the women that getting to the top is achievable. We have many women in APWB who are looking up to you, to learn from you, to leverage your experience as they navigate their own personal career journeys. To members and other women in the financial services sector who are yet to join us, my charge to you is this: if you are ready to elevate your career, engage with our community of women who uplift, who inspire, and who empower one another. As a member of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, you gain access to a powerful network of professionals, to resources, and to leadership opportunities But more than this, you become a part of a movement that is driving change and reshaping the financial services sector. Together, we can create a brighter future for women in financial services.
In Council, erudite scholar, Professor Deji Ola Rewaju of Harvard Institute, to join us in the presentation of this plaque. To assist him this evening is the Amazon, the amiable chairperson of AP.
Thank you so much. Our next awardee tonight is Mrs. Bolaji Agbede, Access Bank Holdings Chief Executive Officer. She's not around. She had sent her apologies, but I don't know if anyone is here representing her. Can we have a representative in the room if we have one? Do we? Okay, we'll quickly move on then, and we'll sort her out later. Okay, can we quickly move to the next awardee? I am very biased. This is one of our APWB Leadership Series committee mentors, Mrs. Dr. Mrs. Bukola Smith.
And who is Dr. Bukola Smith? Dr. Bukola
CEO of FSDH Merchant Bank. She's a seasoned banking professional with over 30 years of expertise in strategy, innovation, and leadership. She previously served as the Executive Director of Business Development at First City Monument Bank, where she launched the She Ventures Initiative, supporting female entrepreneurs. At FSDH, she established the Women in Business Initiative, WIBI, of which I'm one of them, furthering a commitment to empowering women in business. A fellow of both the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, our revered institute, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN. Bukola hosts a BSc in Economics from the University of Lagos, an MBA from Alliance Manchester Business School, and an honorary PhD from Bangkok University. She's also an alumna of various international leadership programs. Bukola has contributed significantly to the banking sector through roles such as chairperson of Bankers Committee Ethics and Professionalism, subcommittee and past chair of the CIBL Mentoring Committee. Her leadership style emphasizes innovation, integrity, and excellence, positioning FSDH as a leading financial partner in Nigeria. Outside her professional pursuits, Bukola is dedicated to mentoring young women and children, serving on the boards of Women in Successful Careers, WISCA, and the Toyin Oni Foundation. She is married to Omodele and has 3 intimidating children. Her career and personal values are driven by the principles of accountability, integrity, and resilience, which the acronym here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please make it for Dr. Bukola Onikepo Smith.
Mrs. Smith, we appreciate you and the excellent work you've done. The next awardee tonight is Mrs. Halima Buba, SunTrust Bank PLC CEO. I understand she's represented by Mr. Folashade Alonge. If you could quickly just come to have our award. Thank you so much.
Halima Buba is the MD CEO of SunTrust Bank PLC. And she's ably represented here by Mrs. Folashade Alonge.
Yeah, quickly moving on, I beg your pardons for some protocol. Dr. Nneka Onyali of the Fidelity Bank has to leave, so we need to quickly do her citation. And that's the next awardee for the year, this towering, delectable woman. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Dr. Nneka Onyali OON is the Group Managing Director, CEO of Fidelity Bank PLC, appointed in January 2021 as the bank's first female MD CEO. She joined Fidelity Bank as an Executive Director in 2015. Dr. Onyali holds a Bachelor's of Law degree from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and a Master of Law from King's College, London. She has also completed executive programs at Harvard Business School, Business School, Oxford University, and received an honorary doctorate in business administration from UNN. Our achievements have earned her multiple accolades, including Banker of the Year 2020 by Leadership Newspaper and Best Banking CEO, Nigeria 2023. Please give it up for Dr. Nneka. Ipe.
If you know how long it's taking women to get this far, if you know how many of those beautiful women are showing up for us, you would clap and not stop. These are exceptional women who have broken the glass ceiling. They've given us reasons to hope and to dream and to continue to push. Please keep appreciating them. Congratulations, ma. Yes, ma. And she's supported by very powerful delegation from Fidelity Bank. Thank you. Okay. The next awardee is our sister and someone else who has continued to inspire women, Mrs. Kafilat Araoye, Lotus Bank.
Mrs. Kafilat Ayodeji Araoye holds a bachelor's degree in history from Obafemi Awolowo University and a master's in industrial relations and personal management from the University of Lagos, where she was recognized as the best graduating student. She began a career at National Oil and Chemicals, now Con Oil, and later joined GT. Kafilat has contributed to key national and international banking initiatives. She is married to Dr. Adekunle Araoye, and she is a proud mother, grandmother in the making.
Again, I'm ex-FCMB, and this is one of the women that told me I could go far in banking. So everyone, please give a round of applause to Mrs. Yemi Siedu of First City Monument Bank.
Mrs. Yemi Titilayo, Mrs. Oluyemi Titilayo Edu holds a bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of Ife, Ile-Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. She is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Institute Accountants of Nigeria, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. She holds the prestigious award on Certified Financial Analyst. She is also a Certified Information Systems Auditor. She joined FCMB in the year 2000 as Divisional Head of Internal Audit, assuming the role of Financial Officer. In May 2015, she was appointed an Executive Director. She sits on the board of many companies, among which are Credit Direct Limited, FSC Asset. She is the current Managing Director and was the first female Managing Director of FCMB till date.
I want to bless, and I want to carry my love away to a place she loves.
Keep clapping, and clap once for me.
I want to carry my love away.
Yeah, that's how we do it. That's how we do it. CEO with the flag. Look at that. Fantastic. Thank you so much, ma. FCMB people, are you in the house? That's it. Thank you so much, ma. Congratulations, ma. Thank you so much. The next awardee is another amazing lady, an Amazon, Miss Tommy Shomefu, Unity Bank. Just look at women doing great stuff.
Tommy Shomefo is the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Unity Bank PLC, with over 3 decades of expertise in business development, treasury, investment banking, audit, and business consulting. She is a fellow of both the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. She holds a bachelor's degree in English language from Obafemi Awolowo University. Tommy is alumna of prestigious institutions, including Harvard Business School, Columbia Business School, and INSEAD, and is a member of professional bodies such as the Institute of Directors. Her career highlights including roles at KPMG, Arthur Andersen, UBA Capital and Trust, and UBA Pension Custodians Limited, where she was the founding managing director, CEO. She is renowned for her ability to lead and develop high-performing teams. Tommy has a proven track record of achieving transformative results in the financial sector. That's why we are actually pulling her into the APWB community. Give it up to her.
Baby, come to me,
you know what this is telling us tonight? No matter your personality, no matter your disposition, you can get to the very top. We saw Miss Tommy Shomefu and Mrs. Bukola Smith very mindful, very demand, right? And then we saw, I call her Auntie Yemisi, we saw Madam Neka, we saw the firebrands. Ladies, don't let anybody discourage you. You will be who you are. You will be excellent, and you will be CEO if you so want it. You will draw people to your profession because you're a professional. So keep at it, keep working, and keep showing up, and we will celebrate you. Congratulations.
I just want to be
Our next awardee should be the CEO of Guarantee Trust Bank. I'm not sure she's here, but we want to check if there's any representative for her. There's a representation. Fantastic. Who's representing her? Can we have your name, please? Okay, so Ms. Tolulope Onikpede would be representing the CEO of Guarantee Trust Bank, the very beautiful, very smart Miriam Olusoya. A round of applause, please.
Mrs. Miriam Olusoya is the Managing Director of Guarantee Trust Bank Nigeria PLC, a subsidiary of Guarantee Trust. She started a career way back in 1998 with Guarantee Trust Bank and rose to the level of Managing Director. What else can we, do for a lady like this? Loyalty par excellence. Please give it up to Mrs. Miriam Olusoya.
Thank you very much. Tell her we appreciate her and we celebrate her and every woman in the house. Congratulations once again to her. Moving on quickly, we would like to celebrate the CEO of Union Bank, Mrs. Yetunde Oni, to be represented by our very passionate treasurer at APWB, Kende Alamojo. Be with the swag. Please clap for her. That's the treasurer of Union Bank. She's APWB by the day and Union Bank at night.
I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a
Yetunde Oni is the latest MD CEO on the trail of the female MDs of banks. She is, before appointment, she was the first female MD at Standard Chartered in Sierra Leone. She graduated with bachelor's degree in economics. Let's give it up to Yetunde Oni.
Congratulations to Union Bank for choosing us. Yeah. want to recognize for tonight, not the last award for tonight, but the last CEO, female CEO. Can you clap again? We've been at it, 11 names. Was this like this a decade ago? We will barely find 2. Then we'll find 3. Then we'll put their pictures on social media and be dancing. 11 tonight. Another round of applause, everybody. Yeah, so, and that will be Mrs. Nneka Enwereji, Citibank's CEO.
Yeah.
Oh, she's represented
Don't sleep. Wake
by
up.
another beautiful lady. Let me help
Collect
you.
your money. Wake up. Collect your money. Collect your money. Wake up.
Oh, she's represented by Miss Lola Oyeka, Country Head Public Affairs for Citibank. Please give her a round of applause.
Don't walk, you don't try. You supposed to be jai. Kill up, come, person, my town, person, we don't mind, boy. When I land softly on the sofa floor. So far, so good, Koni Bajo, let me see you. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, Ukao. Let me
A round of applause for all our female CEOs. Thank you so much.
let me see you. Oh, Ukao. Let me see you, there, Ukao. Let me see you. Ukao. Let me see you, there, Ukao. Let me see you. Ukao. Let me see you, there, Ukao. Better, go get the dollar. Wake up.
Okay, so we have another set of awards, but before that, could I crave the indulgence of all the female CEOs who have received awards tonight to quickly come to the stage, or just come?
Photograph and our global registrar. Where is IPP? Has IPP gone?
Falala,
He has
falala.
gone. Okay.
Make a de falala, falala. Blessings and blessings upon my life till they see me for valala. Mama say make I listen to Jah, make I no reason to fall. Man, I been living too fast, make I dey chill and relax. Life has been good to me, I do not take this with levity. Nothing is new to me, but lucky I'm grateful for everything. The good and the bad and the ugly, all of the joy and the suffering. And then it dawned on me, all that I seek is in front of me. Iṣẹ́ Olúwa kò sẹ́ni tó yé bí mo ṣe ṣe mi ò mọ̀. I just dey stay on my grind every day, I keep my eyes looking up. As she dey see, I give the glory to God. As she dey see, I give the glory to God. Iṣẹ́ Olúwa kò sẹ́ni tó yé bí mo ṣe ṣe mi ò
As we celebrate them, let's celebrate them once again as they go back to their seats. It's not easy. Did you enjoy the panel session tonight? Was it educative? Was it informative? Was it well delivered? A round of applause for all the panelists. We'll quickly like to invite the panelists to the stage. Mrs. Yetunde Ogunremi, the treasurer of Rand Merchant Bank, also an ex-Stanbic and Famzine, and my personal person. No. Please give her a round of applause as she comes down. Dr. Ike Chioke, GMD, Afri-Invest West Africa Limited. Are you here? He's left. Oh, sorry about that. Could someone take his award for him or would have it delivered? Dr. Chinyere Almona. Is she still here? The beautiful Dr. Almona, is she still here? Okay, she'll be represented. And of course, our delectable facilitator, APW owned Dr. Bumi Bajomo, Head Group Corporate Bank, COO, EcoBank. Please sashay to the stage for a picture. Thank you for a job well done. Can we have Mrs. Emilio Tsuji, Executive Director, NDIC? Thank you so much for being here, ma'am. We appreciate you. Can we appreciate people as they come up, please? Can we also have Dr. Ogo Kuti on stage? Apologies if I don't pronounce the name correctly. I am sorry. And I've been a Delta Igbo wife for 21 years. I should refund some money, right? I've been a Delta Igbo wife for 21 years. So I shouldn't massacre the name. Congratulations. Thank you so much, sir. So we'll be rounding up here. Congratulations to all the awardees. And it's not easy to do someone else's job. So it is with speed and alacrity I would like to call my darling sister, the professional presenter, speaker, compere, and bogwe, Rolake, back to the stage to take the mic. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end of the program soon. Can we just give a round of applause to our presenters, Mrs. Olufunke Siche and Mrs. Rafiat Onitiri, for a job well done. And another round of applause to all the celebrated female bank CEOs. I think we should actually, can I ask you to please rise? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's just rise. Can we actually rise and give them a standing ovation? I think when we think about the journey, the years of hard work, the input, the resilience, the perseverance, the highs and the lows, I think they deserve a rousing round of applause. There are many young female bankers in this room who will reach that pinnacle one day, and you will be celebrated as well. So please, let's celebrate all our female CEOs. So we're going to move, thank you very much. You may please be seated. We're going to move swiftly on as we round off the day. And I would ask Mrs. Rafiat Onitiri to actually please, actually before I invite Mrs. Rafiat Onitiri, I would like to invite the second vice president of CIBN, Mrs. Mojisola Bakare Asieru, FCIB, to lead the toast to APWB as we cut the cake. She clearly came with her fan base. So please, in fact, DJ, can you just give her some music as she climbs the stage? Please, a warm welcome for her as she comes on stage to give the toast and to cut the cake.
Call me when you're lonely. Make I come touch your body. Make I come kill your country. And even if not loving, anytime you need me, baby, I'll be there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. That is what we say about women supporting women. Thank you so much. I want to say a big congratulations to all our aunties that have made it possible for us to dream big. Thank you so much for achieving all you have achieved. And your awards are well deserving this evening. Congratulations to all of you. Can we give them a round of applause once more? Can you give them a round of applause? Thank you. Association of Professional Women Bankers, 41 years already, just like yesterday. And Funke, I want you to listen. I want you to listen to me. You've really raised the bar for this association, and we appreciate all the great work you have done. I want to also appreciate all the ladies that have supported you from day one and keep supporting you. Can we appreciate these wonderful ladies? Please stand up for recognition. Thank you so much for all you do for us. And this is a toast to Association of Professional Women Bankers. Can we charge our glasses, please? Can we charge our glasses? You must have something in your glass. This is not a time to hold your phone. Thank you for dropping that phone. Let's charge our glasses. Let us stand to our feet. Thank you very much for doing so. I fell in love with a very good quotation of Napoleon Hill that says that whatever the mind of a man, and here I say, whatever the mind of a woman can conceive and believe in can be achieved. We have conceived a lot of ideas. We are achieving it. Thank you for the empowerment that Association of Professional Women Bankers continue to give women. Thank you for the mentoring. Thank you for the coaching. Thank you for the hand-holding. Thank you for the I can do spirit. And I raise a toast to APWB this evening, and I say more wins, more standing strong, more standing stronger, more shattering a lot of ceilings, more going ahead and ahead. We are unstoppable. We are a movement of unstoppable movement. No one can stop us. We are unstoppable. Cheers, APWB. Thank you.
DJ, please break it down. We are going to pop. Don't worry. Sorry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Out of too much excitement, we actually left out the keynote speakers award. So I'm actually going to be doing that right away. And to receive... Huh? Huh? Yes. To receive that award on behalf of the MD CEO is Mrs. Sadia Adebambo Famuiwa. Please come forward for the award. Please come. Chairperson, please come forward to the presentation. First vice, please could do us the honor to the presentation.
Keep your money, look, la malo, baby, wow, Vanessa,
DJ, please break it down. To do this honor for us is the first vice, Mr. Dele Alabi, the first vice president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers. Sorry, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. DJ, just give me a minute to round this up, then we now let loose. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that all is well that ends well. We have not come to the end of this. I am actually just giving vote of thanks for your time this evening.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would like to recognize another special set of people here with us today. We have a part of the association initiative, which is called the Leadership Series, which is an initiative that targets the most senior women in banking. We have them being mentored by leaders within corporate Nigeria. Now, we happen to have a few of those leaders here today, and I would like to recognize them. I need them to please come out. Mrs. Bimbola Wright, can you come out, please? Bimbola Wright, can I have you come out? Mrs. Kemi Adewale, if you're there, please come out. Let us see you, please. I would like some pictures with you. We need to recognize you and celebrate you. Amongst them also, we've already mentioned, is Mrs. Bukola Smith, who was on stage a few minutes ago. Retired General Lucky Rabo, are you also here? Retired General Lucky Rabo, the former Chief of Staff in Nigeria. Please come out, Mrs. Bimbola Wright and Mrs. Kemi Adewale. Board member, Mrs. Adewale is a board member at FBN Quest. Trustees and Mrs. Bimbola Wright is a board member at EcoBank, Nigeria. So ladies and gentlemen, please celebrate these two ladies. Thank you. HCIB, indeed. Thank you very
much. Dance, baby. Tell them make we dance, baby. Make it dance, baby. Let the music in the play, baby. Almost say you go dance, baby. Tell them make we dance, baby. You go dance, baby. You go dance. For the vibe I've been out for days.
DJ!
Steady chasing the body, concentrate. Anytime I do, whether night or day, I day on my chain.
Next on our agenda is cutting of the cake.
Cause anything we are drop, then go chop a J. Whether night or day, I day on my J. I day on my J. Kese, 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 kese. Kese, 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 kese.
Hello? Hello, can we have some silence, please? And Roller K, who is conducting this?
Tell them we dance, make it dance, let the music in the play, almost say you could dance, tell them we could dance, you could dance, you could dance.
Cutting of the cake. Chairperson, please, can you be here?
If we never did it, make the party come alive. We turn the 02 to 03, my love best seat, alawa. So baby, tell me why you wanna. She body make you do as you like. Now steady with the bloody canal.
Mrs. Osuji, please, can you join us here? Office holders, please join us. Our past chairs.
I'm working on patience. I know the joke.
Thank you,
Please, can we have all the presidents, please come, sir. Can we have all the MDs that are still here? Mrs. Yemisi Edon? Okay.
Keep your money to bamboo. Look, la malo. Baby, wow,
can the ESCO come, please? ESCO of APWB, can you come forward for the cutting of the cake? This cake cannot be cut without you. Can we clap for them as they come? ESCO. So as we cut this cake, we are going to, DJ, can you bring it down? We're going to spell APWB and we'll cut the cake. Give me a resounding A. Give me a supersonic P. Give me a fantastic W. Now, give me a very energetic B. APWB. Thank you very much.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful evening of celebration, bonding, and unwinding. On behalf of the Association of Professional Women Bankers, APWB, I stand here with immense gratitude and joy to deliver this vote of thanks as we close this truly remarkable Marquee event. First and foremost, collectively, we give all glory and honor to God Almighty for His divine guidance, favor, and blessings that made this event not only possible, but also a resounding success. Without Him, none of this would have been achievable. We extend a profound appreciation to the President and Chairman in Council, erudite scholar Professor Pius Deji Olariwaju, FCIB, on behalf of the office holders and past presidents for providing the platform and management, and also management of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, ably led by our own global registrar, Akim Morakiyo, ACIB, for their unwavering support and partnership. Your commitment to empowering women in banking has been a source of strength and encouragement to us all. We are indeed grateful to APW chairperson, past chairpersons, whose constant moral support have been a source of encouragement and inspirations for us. To our renowned keynote speaker, Mr. Segun Alebieju, who was ably represented here, his insightful address was both thought-provoking and inspiring. It set the tone for the day, igniting meaningful discussions and leaving us with invaluable takeaways that will resonate far beyond this gathering. Our heartfelt thanks also go to our excellent panelists and the moderator for their exceptional contributions. Your expertise, thoughtful engagement, and diverse perspective enriched our conversations, equipping us with actionable ideas and renewed confidence in our collective potential. Today, we also proudly celebrate the achievements of the remarkable female managing directors amongst us. Their journeys and accomplishments are a testament to resilience, leadership, and excellence, serving as a beacon of inspiration for the next generation of leaders. To our distinguished executive committee and hardworking event planning committee members, your relentless efforts, attention to detail, and commitment to excellence were evident in every aspect of this event. You have done us proud, and we are deeply grateful. We also recognize the press for amplifying our voices and sharing our message with a broader audience. Your role in celebrating the achievements of professional women bankers cannot be overstated. Finally, a big thank you to our vendors whose professionalism and seamless service delivery contributed immensely to the success of this event. I will make mention of my tireless Rekia. She's petite but mighty in action, ably supported by Man Leye, as I fondly call him. To everyone who gave this occasion with your presence, whether physical or virtual, we thank you for making time to be part of this milestone. Your support and engagement have added value and meaning to everything we set out to achieve today. As we reflect on this event, let us carry forward the inspiration, connections, and insights we have gained together. We are paving the way for a future of greater inclusion, collaboration, and success. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you. And as you go to our respective homes, may your sleep be sweet and your peace be great. Thank you, everyone. I'll now call on the second Vice President, Mrs. Binke Ogunlaye, to do the closing prayers.
So it's time for us, ladies and gentlemen, to thank God in prayers as we close. Shall we all rise for prayers, please? What shall we say unto the Lord? All we have to say is thank you, Lord. What shall we say unto our God? All we have to say is thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. We thank you, Lord. All we have to say is thank you. Everlasting Father, we say thank you. Thank you for taking preeminence. Thank you for every part of this program. And we return all the glory back to you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Father, we pray for all the female top MDs that has been given awards today. And we are praying that, Lord, please equip them, make them exceptional in the name of Jesus. We pray for all those that have played one role or the other in bringing today to come to pass and making it successful. We pray that greater empowerment you grant unto everyone in the name of Jesus. Thank you for all the sponsors. Lord God, increase them on all sides in the name of Jesus. Thank you because we know next year will be greater in the name of Jesus. Thank you for CIBN, our parent body. Lord, continue to raise the bar for them in every way in the name of Jesus. Glory and honor unto your holy name. Please go with us. Let your presence remain with us. In Jesus' mighty name we are prayed. Amen.
I know the follow pastor, the beat for my father, my father. See me, I don't busy my call. I want